Okay. Well, welcome to the August 2nd, 2023 meeting of the Town of Kennebunkport Planning Board. We have a nearly complete, or
George.
George is missing. Yes, George is missing, but everybody else is here. And so, first off, we have approval of minutes. So does everybody read through the minutes?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I would move to accept them as written.
A second.
All right. Here's
Approved.
Approved.
Approve.
Super. Okay. Which brings us to our agenda. And we have item 230701, St. Anne's Episcopal Church.
Yeah.
William Walsh, agent.
Yeah.
And there he is.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Bill Walsh, Walsh Engineering, and I'm here with Shep Hill, who's the senior warden of the vestry at St. Anne's. We have been working with St. Anne's since, I think, last summer now, sort of working through an assessment of their seawall and trying to come up with a plan to which to one, assess it, and two, look at what the options were for providing a resilient seawall for St. Anne's and the historic structures that are there, which include the rectory, the church, and the columbarium. All of those are kind of important and very close to the water structures. I do have a PowerPoint that Michelle's going to help me with, sort of walk through this to help you out. This is a little more graphical than the plans, but I think it helps everybody understand it a little more and bring it a little 3 dimensions. I'll wait for George
And
to.
there's George. So we're now complete.
Always welcome.
I saved your spot there, George.
Thank you. You can go to the next one, Michelle, please. This, as you all know, this is an aerial of St. Anne's property. So on the top of the plan is Ocean Avenue, and the road that comes in would be to the left of this. North is actually kind of directly up, believe it or not, on this, and east, north is up and east to the right as you look at this. So the road that comes in is into the property is the one that you all know. You come in on that left-hand side, and it circles around. The church is kind of upper right of the property, and the rectory is bottom right of the property, or bottom east on this plan. They have 3.6 acres, and as hopefully you can see the wall, and as you may know, the seawall that exists out there, it encompasses pretty much the whole point. And it starts close to the gate on the left-hand side, and it circles all the way around. It over near Old Fort Beach, which is the right side or the east side of the property, and you may know this, but we went through a process of obtaining an easement. This wall actually wanders off onto town that's owned by the town of Kennebunkport. And I don't think anybody necessarily realized it until we got the survey and started looking at it and said, oh no, we're not all on our property. So in March, we went through a process of explaining it to Lori and the town, and then got it on for the June vote, and were able to get an easement from the town for the maintenance, and also an access point coming off of Ocean Avenue. There's a little monitoring station building that's there on Ocean Avenue to be able to access the property, or the seawall rather, as we start this under construction. The issue becomes right around the rectory, and if you know this property, I'm going to say bottom right of the property, closest to the water, there's very little space between the rectory and the seawall, not enough to get equipment in there. So we actually needed that access point, that other access point over Old Fort Beach, to be able to get to the wall and access it presumably for reconstruction. You can flip to the next one, please. This is the actual easement that was voted on, and what you see in yellow there, and there's that little building that is a DEP monitoring station, as I understand it, is kind of on the upper right of that, closest to Ocean Avenue. Can switch to the next one, please. This is the green line represents kind of the property line that's there. So that's where the wall is forward of that as we're looking at this, and you can see where that bisects the wall on the left, and then it circles around the back of the church. And again, I suspect when they built this, they probably didn't know where the property lines were, and they built it to protect the church, or the backside of the church. You can go to the next one, please. This is the wall. The rectory is in the upper right of the picture, and the wall extends to the left. The entrance would be off to the left of this photo, so this is a drone image that we took. But you can see that wall. It's a masonry, I'll call it a masonry wall, and I believe it was built off of the rocks that they pulled right off of the shoreline, and just mortared them together. At some point, a concrete cap was put on it. You can keep flipping through those if you would, please, Michelle. This is just another angle kind of around the other side of the rectory. That location where I said is very tight is on the upper left of this, where the corner of the rectory and the seawall are close. They're probably within about 8 feet of each other, very tight there, not enough room to get equipment in there. Next one, please. This is the backside of the rectory, and again, we're sort of just circling around the beaches to the right. This is the backside of the rectory. The columbarium is where you see the steeple, if you will, on the church. It's in between the rectory and that steeple is the columbarium. There's a little garden there where the circle is, and that little garden space sitting area has been wiped out a few times in storm events. It actually just has gotten torn up in different storms. You can go to the next one, please. Again, there's the beach to the right. Ocean Avenue would be to your right on this picture. So, what slide we're on? Yeah, you can go to the next one. This is just a graphical image of what that wall is. There's no concrete core. It was not structurally designed. It was simply like I said, just a masonry wall. It's held up pretty well, but I can tell you, the December storm, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, we lost some parts of the wall, and they get patched up and repaired. That's sort of the normal thing that the church has to do to keep this thing, keep it in place. Next one, please. These are actually the flood zones. You can see them in red. They're the new, I'm going to call them the new flood maps, if you will, or the new flood zones. The wall itself varies in elevation. Can you flip back one, Michelle? Thank you. The blue line or green line that's just above it is one of the flood zones. They change a little bit around it, and the red one on the top is the 100-year flood event in a velocity zone that's there. So we're at about elevation 15, I'm going to say, existing wall, and that red line up at the top is elevation 18. So we're about 3 feet shy on that wall, in most places, just to protect from the 100-year flood event. Okay, you can go to next one, please. Yep, one more. These are some images. I'm going to have you flip through these relatively quick, but this is just images of the wall. Again, the rectories, right? You're looking at it. This is down from the beach, and you can see just the masonry pieces of this. It's just been mortared up over the years. It's patched up on a regular basis as those pieces come out. You can see some of it at the bottom of that picture, for example. There's a hole down at the bottom, so where this meets I'm going to call it meets ledge, it pretty much sits on ledge throughout. There are places where it gets washed out pretty regularly as the storm events happen. There's some drainage that exists on this now that was installed, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 years ago maybe. That helps when water overtops it. It helps evacuate the water back into the ocean. Again, just different pictures. There's ledge throughout. It sits on ledge. You can see the ledge pieces down at the bottom, and they just built on top of it all the way throughout there. Yep. That's back by the beach, kind of looking back at the rectory. And there's the church to the right. The wall. This is the piece that sort of wanders off onto the town property. So, I think as everybody knows, this was December 23rd of last year. It's a storm event. There's a little video here. I think this is the one, Michelle. This is actually looking at it. You can see the waves hitting that wall.
Flashbacks.
This is what this wall's seeing, and again, as I said, it's not a structural wall, it's a masonry wall that really can't handle the forces of these waves whacking this. I'm sure as some of you probably saw this storm, it was pretty brutal, but you see those waves sort of roll along that. And that's that area where it sort of rolled along, got hit pretty hard, just based on the direction of that storm that hit in December. I think you can flip to the next one, please. This is some of the washout that occurred. So this is just the rectories in the background on that. And you see the washout that happens as those waves kind of roll along that. They roll over the top of the wall and just erode it. Go to the next one, please. Another one, please. There's another one. That's some of the drainage that existed behind that wall. And I don't know if you can see it, but towards the end of that pipe, there's actually a hole in that wall where it washed out in that storm event. So this was just after that storm. And that is the area. So the church is just to the left, and you're looking at the beach, but you can see all of the erosion and the pipes that were ripped out of there just as part of this storm. So again, I guess it just sort of shows the force of that water as it comes up and over. It's eroding the backside of it as well. You can keep going. Some more washout there. This image shows what we're proposing to do. So again, the objective of this is really to protect the structures, right? To make sure that they stay where they're at. And that the yellow line represents what we're proposing to replace. Starting, again, our assessment was let's protect what we need to. There's much more wall, obviously, that circles around this to the front, but if it overtops that area, it's in a landscaped area versus close to a structure. So I think that's a very good representation or image, if you will, to sort of show this is everything that's again being changed. You can go to the next one, please. This is a graphical image of what we're proposing. So existing wall is on the left, proposed wall is on the right. The existing wall is the lines represent those flood zones, and that represents that sort of 15 to 18 foot elevation change. And we're not going up 18 feet, we're going up 3 feet, just to be clear. There are a few places where we're likely to put in some riprap to help break the velocities of the water before they hit the wall, primarily around that spot where I was talking about it, where it's very tight to the rectory, that one corner. There's kind of a very low spot there, and I think it's going to make sense to put in some riprap in those places just to help protect the wall even better. The wall will do the protection, but this helps to break the storm up a little bit. You can go to the next one. This is actually an updated structural plan, which I haven't submitted yet, but we just got this from the structural engineer working on us. The plan actually, go back one, please, Michelle. The plan, the one on the right represents the same thing, just a little more graphically, but it will have what we call a heel on it, which is the piece on the part on the back. It will be what we anticipate and what we've done on other projects is that they get in there and they'll use a hammer and they'll hammer out the ledge and create sort of a flat base with which to put the footing on. And that footing is that piece, that's the horizontal piece. That will actually be drilled down into the ledge. It'll be epoxied into the ledge and held in place that way. The yellow will be the concrete core, if you will, on this, and there's structural steel in this to make sure that it can withstand the velocities and the forces that are beating on this wall. Go to the next one, please. One more. This is just another representation, so you can have that image of kind of where we're doing this. So, you know, if you came in and parked, it would be at the bottom of the page usually, where you're sort of looking out over the water. But as you go up and around the loop to the rectory, where that yellow is that same area that we're proposing. Next one, please. Same idea, just another image. You can go to the next one, please. You know, these are a couple of shots that just show show those waves as they were coming over. That's that video, just stills of that video, but you can see that wave as it hits it in that particular situation, how it's coming up and over the wall. Next one, please. That's that one that was sort of rolling along the edge of the wall, and that's probably one of those ones that overtopped it and created that erosion on the back side. So I think I've covered the wall, the proposed plan. The other permits that we need, we have to, we're in process on a NERPA permit, so we're within the 25 feet proximity of the water in most of this, or I'll say 25 feet from the highest annual tide. So we are, we have to go to DEP. I'll just say that and get a permit from them. I don't suspect that will be a problem as we work through those details with them. We have a couple of places where we're proposing some riprap that encroaches a little bit into the highest annual tide, just because of the way that the ledge works and it comes in there, but I suspect we'll be under 500 square feet of total impact into the HAT where we need to do that. But as far as schedule goes, I think if we can get our permits in place, we'd really like to start construction this fall, later in the fall, once those permits are in place. The idea would be to work through the winter as much as we can. There's challenges with that because of storm events, because of concrete curing and cold weather and that sort of thing. So there are lots of challenges to it, but I've done a couple of projects along the coast here, further south, in Kennebunk, and we have to find the right contractor that understands the conditions that he's working under and how he constructs this properly. There's going to be sandbags that are, you know, big sandbags that have to be lifted by equipment that help to sort of hold the water back in cases where we have storms. And we have to time this in a way that we're only taking out segments of this wall so that we don't sort of expose the whole property. We'll take out probably 60 feet or so at a time and sort of do it in chunks and pieces so that we don't expose the structures and the property too much. The idea that Shep and I have talked about is that it will work through the winter. It will close down in the spring as the churches or the church and the property are opened back up. It'll close down. Construction will close down for that time period, and then it will pick back up in the fall. Ideally, we have a mild winter, and they can plow through this thing and get the concrete all in place, and then they're coming back and doing veneer, which I did not mention in here, that this wall will be a veneered wall, so it's going to have a concrete core and it's going to have stone cladded to it. So it's not going to be just a white concrete wall. It will be consistent, I'll say, with what's there, in the fact that there'll be a natural stone facing on both sides of it. There'll be a concrete cap that is put on the top, much like is there right now. So I think with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you, Michelle.
I got a couple of questions. How much ledge goes out to that wall? What's the percentage, do you know?
As far as how much is going to be on ledge, is that?
Well, how much ledge actually goes out to the wall now?
It's pretty much all of it is on ledge.
It's on ledge?
Yeah, just about all of it. It wasn't,
But at some places, the ledge is higher,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So what they do is they go in and they'll hammer out level sections of it, because part of the issue is that they have to stand the forms up to pour the concrete. So they like to pour a sort of a level piece. And what'll happen is they'll take, where it might hump up a little bit, they'll take the hump off. And that'll create that flat pad over that section.
No, I understand that. It's just that you showed a lot of washout,
Yep,
but it seems like there's also a lot of ledge that comes up pretty high too,
yep.
that helps to maintain it there.
We won't be taking out, other than sort of the, I don't know what I want to say, the channel, I guess, where the wall is. So just where that wall is what will be removed to create that flat spot. So we won't be taking it out beyond
Right.
what's there. And you're right, the ledge does a good job of protecting
Parts of it.
parts of it, parts of it, and not so other parts.
So there'll be mechanical removal, not a blasting.
We anticipate a mechanical hammer, yep.
In one of your drawings, it looked like you have a reinforced support in the concrete. Am I wrong?
There is reinforced, there is steel in the concrete, and it will both be, they'll drill holes in the ledge, and they put the steel rods down into the ledge. Those are epoxied into place, and the concrete's poured around it, so that secures it to the ledge.
So there's reinforcement in the concrete?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, a
It'll be
lot.
all the way through?
A lot, yes, yes.
And then it's, the stone, I understand where the riprap goes in front, but the stone in the back of the wall that you're proposing to put in, is that just crushed stone, or is it larger pieces?
On the back side of the wall where it's buried, there's a stone drainage system that will be behind the wall, so that drainage system will both pick up surface water and also any groundwater that gets in there. One of the problems with, one of the issues that can develop with walls are that you get too much pressure on the land side and it pushes it over.
Is there a drain system, does that drain system run all the way around that wall?
It doesn't now, but our plan is to put it around most of it. There will be a drainage system that will
So you're
evacuate.
gonna have pipes that come out so that the water
Yes.
all the way around?
Yeah, we've tried to limit the number of places where we bring it out, and where we do bring it out, we are proposing a little bit of riprap to protect the end of that pipe, I think is the best way to say that. So we'll actually pin that to the ledge at those places, and the water will, it stops the ocean water from charging up that pipe when you get a heavy storm.
Okay. Are there any plans to reduce the size of the rectory or move it back from that wall? None, okay. I know it's an historical site, but,
Absolutely.
okay.
We're just trying to keep it in place where it is now.
Yeah, but it's kind of in a dangerous spot right now.
So I had a couple of questions, so I appreciate that. So on one of your drawings, it seemed like there was some sort of a stake on the seaward side of the wall. What is that? If you could just, no, is it some kind of a vertical stake? What is that?
I
Some
don't
kind
know.
of
Was it
vertical-
on a photo?
Yeah, on the presentation.
Yeah, I don't know. See if Michelle can help us.
I can do that.
I don't know what that would be.
Well,
Oh, you know what? I have
it seems like this, on one of your drawings here, it says it's some sort of a
Picture your friend.
silt fence stake or something, silt fence, I don't know.
Is it for
Yeah.
construction?
Anyway, we'll get back to that. So, I had a few other questions
Yeah.
while Michelle's looking. So, do you have a significant wave height that would affect your final design for this? Would that be on top of your 18-foot base flood elevation?
It is in a velocity zone, so presumably it is that 18. You know, there's a balance here, obviously, of, views and protection.
Well, what occurred to me while I was watching your, the video was the effect of the wave run up and overtopping the wall. And it seemed to me like if you only raise that wall 3 feet, you're still going to get overtopping for some
We
of
are.
those waves.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's going to happen.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And
Then you
that's,
have your drain system.
exactly, that's the idea. I mean, I don't, we'd have to keep going up, right? Until we'd,
Yeah, or you could change the shape, make it convex and
Right.
reflect it back. But, okay, so you thought about that in terms of the drainage system.
yep.
So then on your riprap, do you have can you characterize that with a D50 rock size?
Some of those I think are gonna be in the 6 to 8 foot range.
Well, how about tons, like 2.5 tons?
Yeah, whatever that converts to, it's gotta be that.
If I was just guessing, I'd guess needs to be around 2.5
Yep.
tons.
Yep.
Average. Okay.
There's some, if you go out there and look at I'm gonna call it the parking area for lack of better term, on the right where you drive in there, you can see some stones that were put in there at one time, and they've been moved around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of wave action in there.
And you can see it on the jetty as well, right? The stones that went back in there were bigger than the ones that were there, and they were in the 6 or 8 foot range.
So could you characterize the riprap in terms of a D50 rock size?
Yeah, it's 6 or 8 feet.
What tons?
I don't
Weight.
know. I don't know what that. I'll get that for you. I don't know it off the top of my
I
head.
appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, it's interesting that you're gonna, I could see your retaining wall. It looks great.
Yep.
Are you sure the stone veneer is gonna withstand the forces?
It's going to be a maintenance issue,
Yeah.
but I think the church is committed to the visual aesthetic of that,
Okay.
and it's kind of what we have, right? If we want the visual part of that, we kind of have to do it. There are some mortars that are a little better than others, as you probably know, but it's going to be a regular maintenance. I won't say regular. I mean, it could last 5 years, it could last 10 years. It's going to depend on the storms, but
So you wouldn't want to put riprap the whole length in order to avoid having to maintain a veneer? That was my point, I guess.
yeah, it would be a challenge from a DEP perspective, to
Oh,
be
really?
honest with you. Yeah, to put that much in. They don't like you going land or seaward. They want the other way.
Okay,
In an ideal world, yeah, I probably would, right? If I would just put my engineer hat on and said that's the way
Okay.
it would be, but
all right.
we definitely, the aesthetic of it has been very important to the church, and people see it from Ocean Avenue, and we've beat it around a little bit because there's a cost associated with it, but
Okay,
You thought the town wanted the veneer on the outside as you come down Ocean, so that it didn't look like just a big
Microphone.
concrete wall.
okay, all right. And then, of course, retaining walls in these applications like this tend to get scour at the toe. So I know you're building this on ledge, but are there any areas where you're going to have that? Do you have to work on how to defeat the scour issue?
there's one area and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm gonna call it, there's a little beach at the south end of the rectory. I'm gonna call it a beach. It's stone, small cobbles. It's where the stairs go down there. And in that space right there, we are gonna put riprap in there.
Okay.
At the base of it.
All right.
I believe we're gonna hit ledge, because there's ledge everywhere else. I think by the time we excavate out, we're probably gonna hit it, but to make sure we're in a good position, we're gonna put some riprap in there.
Okay, all right. So, I guess that's it, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, except for that, yeah, okay, right there. That
Yep.
the little vertical stake, what is that?
Oh, under the rock?
Well, to the right, yeah, all by itself.
Under the boulder?
Yeah, it's under the boulder.
Oh,
It's-
that's how you're gonna anchor the boulder, okay. So
Yeah,
that's.
I don't know that we'll be pinning 8-footers, to be honest with you, but.
Well, yeah, I was, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to, it's kind of
I'm
hard
not
to
sure you
pick
need
those
to
up
pin
and
an
drop 'em.
8-footer, yeah.
If you're really good with a piece of equipment, you can drop it into a hole, but you gotta be really good.
In January.
In January,
Yeah,
with a
yeah.
storm beating on you.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, I got you now. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's, okay.
It might be a little
And I guess
over-
that'd be stainless?
Yes, yeah, we use like a 3/4 inch stainless rod with
Yeah.
epoxy.
All right.
And usually fill the entire hole with it, so it
Okay.
becomes stronger than the rock, to be honest with you.
And then I guess my last point is that I did take a look at the retaining wall, looks really, good. But there are some requirements about having 2 parallel rows of rebar for walls wider than 12 inches, or actually wider than 10 inches.
Okay,
So I know you've got that on the main one, but it seems like there might be one where, you may want to double check.
okay,
If the width of the stem at the base is greater than 10 inches by AISC rules, you have to have 2 parallel walls, curtain walls of rebar.
okay. I'll check into that.
Include the veneer?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Mike, you have anything?
Does that include the veneer?
No, that's the wall.
Just the wall itself,
concrete.
okay.
That's the,
Thanks.
concrete thickness.
No question. Just fine.
So, a single question. The town property, isn't that on that picture on the upper side where there's less riprap and it's almost not a beach because it's all little stones?
Right.
Isn't that where water could come up and then come in behind?
Yeah, there's a, I don't know if you could bring that one back up, Michelle. It's, let's see how far it is in here.
That's the town's liability.
Maybe the, I don't know, it's probably about 5, that one works, actually. So, beyond that, you see the church behind, actually it's behind Werner, he's standing there.
Right.
The church is behind there. It actually drops off behind that. It's kind of a stone berm, I'll call it, and a marsh behind it. So the area it will go is there, which is to the side of the church versus.
Instead of coming up
Yeah,
behind?
it's too,
creating-
the grade is higher back here where Werner's standing, so it's gonna go that way before it comes this way.
So the riprap, there won't be a demand on the town or a
No,
request? Okay.
no, I think it'll be very much the same as it, as it is today. It's gonna be just the same.
Thank you.
Yeah, taller, yeah, absolutely.
Ed, you have anything?
Yeah, I was hoping to understand, just for my own edification, how you attack this problem. I'm envisioning back in the day when this was built, there was an awful lot of, I envision men on the ocean side, working with mortar on a,
If you know, do you know?
I can envision bringing in heavy equipment up to it from the church side.
Yep.
What do you do on the outside, especially where it drops off quickly? What do you envision doing there? And how do you protect the ocean during construction?
So it will all be from the land side. We'll be working on land. What will happen is they'll bring in backhoes with hammers, we call it, hydraulic hammers.
Yeah.
And those, what they'll
Do the removal.
do the
first.
removal, and they'll chip away at the,
Right.
at the ledge.
So
Some
I
of
got a
this,
60-foot section, and okay, now I got that cleared, and
Yep.
you're gonna cart that away,
yes,
I imagine?
yes, exactly. And then they build like I said, they'll build a flat platform over that 60, it may be several, like it might be, they might have 20 feet at this elevation, they might step up a foot, and then
But all toward the church
all
side, toward
towards
the
the
property
church
side?
side. Yep.
And then it just drops off?
It just drops off. So one of the ways that you protect, because that's one of the reasons for keeping the area small, is
Sure.
so that you can protect it. What I'll bring a picture maybe next time and show you some of these large sandbags. We did it down at, I'm gonna call it the Big House down
Yeah.
on Parsons Beach, down there. We did a wall down there. And they use these large sandbags. When I say large, they have to be picked up by a piece of equipment. They're this high.
And you're thinking
3
a
feet by
backhoe or
3 feet.
something of that nature, yeah?
Exactly, they have straps on them, and they pick them up and they place them, and you can create a wall out of that. So the idea and the challenge as you build this is that you have to, keep your area small, and you've got to watch the weather, you're working in that marine environment, and if need be, that those sandbags have to be put in place, and you could put them both seaward, and you could, if a storm was coming, you could actually put them, I'll say behind the work, if you will, to,
So can we bring up the chart that was up there just before that you were looking at?
1 second.
So, that one's fine too.
Oh, you don't want that?
No, you had one of those first two that you had,
Okay.
just a second ago.
This is fine?
Keep going, that one's fine.
Okay.
So right there,
yep,
the story hangs in there, and I can see, putting sandbags, essentially building a wall
yep,
exterior to the wall,
yep,
carefully.
Yep.
With great forethought.
absolutely,
But then look down a little further.
Yep.
Right, where you can't see the ground anymore.
we're up probably high enough in that position, so the ledge is coming up where
Yeah.
the wall
Or
turns.
maybe you don't have to do that.
Right, you don't have to do it, exactly. You're sort of picking it, Ed, if you will. You're sort of picking your places. And again, it takes a good contractor. It takes somebody who understands working around this environment and knowing how to do it. It's tricky work. And you're always worried about protecting both the land behind it and also the rectory, right? We open up a hole here and get one of these nor'easters that come in, it's gonna be a challenge.
Right, but we're also worried about protecting the ocean,
Exactly.
right? If this was a subdivision, we'd be talking about hay bales on the
Yep.
outside, right, against a petroleum spill, or what do you do here?
But basically,
hay.
all the soil's gonna be peeled back, you're gonna be on ledge, so that, what I envision
If I
is,
have a fuel spill
yep,
from some of this heavy equipment,
yep.
is it gonna go right into the ocean? Is there any protection that's being given?
We can do a little bit, but I can tell you it's pretty challenging to
Well,
have much
You
of,
know better than I what's
Yeah.
done. This isn't the first challenging project, although this looks like a good PhD thesis for some civil engineer.
yeah, oh yeah,
Pretty challenging.
it is, it
Um,
is.
But whatever is done there, it seems like needs to be done here
Yep.
to care for the possibility of environmental damage.
Absolutely, and I think that's the idea is that you're keeping the equipment out of the water, you're protecting it during
Obviously.
storm events, you're doing those things, whether it be putting in sandbags or, you'd like to put in sheet pile here, but you can't drive it because you got ledge, so
I think
that's,
keeping it small, I think
is critical,
yeah.
absolutely.
I think you'd hear about it if they saw an oil slick out at Walker's Point.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't want that 20/20 hindsight. And so.
Very
so-
quickly.
So the last follow-up on that was this veneer.
yep,
That sounds lovely, but as soon as the first panel comes off with a storm, you no longer have the aesthetic that you went to all of this trouble to create. I guess I'm just asking, are you sure this is what you want to do? And where is that all? That's not rock, right?
it is hard, it is rock, it is real rock
It
that's
is real
cut.
rock.
Yeah, it's real rock that's cut, and then it's mortared onto the concrete.
So it's kind of like what the colony.
Yeah, it's the same
just
thing,
did.
it's the same exact thing at the
Except it
colony.
doesn't seem to have the same wave action on.
Yeah,
that.
colony's not
Yeah.
exposed to the
Hopeful-
ocean.
Hopefully not, no, but it's,
They did it the easy way,
yeah, I mean, it is done, this isn't uncommon to put a veneer on
on a wall
seawall,
that gets
yeah.
this type of beating, okay.
we've
So
done it
how
before.
tried and true is that?
We did it at Lord's Point, we did it down there, which is pretty much the same directional forces, I guess, of the waves on it down there.
And how long ago and how is it doing?
Yeah, what's the maintenance history on
We
that?
did it, it was after 2018, it was down at the end of that.
So you had
of Lor-
last
of Lord's
December
Point.
storm on it.
Yep, we got, they had a very similar wall that got torn right out.
Yeah.
And there was actually a pool behind it, and.
You mean a
that
similar
got-
mortar wall?
It was a similar mortar wall.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the same, I would bet it was.
Not the new one?
No, not a new one, it was the mortar wall that was built just like this one, and it was just, it was pretty amazing what it did, and ripped out.
Told us this is a large additional concrete wall,
You want to step up here?
we could just say concrete.
Yeah.
I think I hear him saying it wasn't exactly their idea.
Yeah, that, no, it was. but
You went
that-
along with it, but,
Yes,
yeah.
that it was a factor
And
of
it's- and it-
consideration
and it's
by
expensive.
neighbors that are
Yeah.
neighbors that sit and look out there. So that's why we thought that was the
yeah,
right thing to
that-
do.
yeah, that was a concession, and,
You know, it's similar, I guess it's similar to what's there now, right? They have to repair this wall as it sort of falls apart on them. It's a similar maintenance issue, I guess, although not as often at all. In my opinion, it's not gonna be anywhere near what, you know, the challenges they have now in
How does it
washouts.
hold up compared to the ugly rusty wall down at Gooch's Beach?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Better. It's my official response, better.
elements of wood.
Those dust people.
thanks for the insight,
Sure.
appreciate it.
Okay, so, have we looked through the application sufficient for completeness here? I think we have.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to find the application complete and while waiting for the MDEP permit. And, yeah.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay, well,
Okay, so Ed,
Yes, I agree.
Approve.
approve?
Approved.
approve.
Okay, so, we'll, see you in 2 weeks.
Yep, Yep,
and,
public hearing.
Have a public hearing,
okay.
and I think Larry had one or two other things that he wanted to
Yeah,
see.
I did some checking. I think if you have a 8-foot diameter riprap, you're gonna be well in the safety zone. It'd still be interesting to hear your, you know, your selection criteria for the riprap.
Yep, we'll give you the
I appreciate
calculations
that,
for
yeah.
that.
All right, so we just need a case manager.
I'll do this, if you don't mind.
You're just the person I was thinking.
Okay.
I nominate Larry.
His middle name is Rip Rap, I
Me,
think.
me too, Tom.
Yeah, you have me at Rip Rap.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
Great.
much, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, our second item
Pretty exciting.
is 230702, Richard and Mary Steiger, 11 Wildwood Ave.
Yeah.
Initial review.
Thank you for having me. My name's Amy Noonan. I'm Richard and Mary Steiger's daughter of 11 Wildwood Ave. My father is joining us by Zoom. He's currently in Florida, but he has more answers to your potential questions. But the application seeks approval for the removal of a two-story home and a new build of a two-story home in that place. Dad, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
yes.
Oh, cool, okay. Can you see me?
No.
No,
No?
we're not expecting to
We're not
either.
expecting to.
Dad?
Yep,
Okay, they're ready for you.
yeah, but I can't, all I see is my name up there, Richard Steiger, so they're
Okay,
not able to
that's
see me?
fine.
Does he want to share a
Okay.
screen or something?
Yes.
Is it-
Right.
So Dad, I'll show them the first set of the first drawing
Yep.
that shows the existing footprint. Okay?
Yep,
Can I use this? All right, do you want to talk them through that?
sure.
Yeah, Mike's bringing over a,
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Dad.
Okay, I contracted with Paul Gadboy to do a civil survey for the property so I could figure out what I could do. And he also shot the house, all the elevations of the existing house, which came to affect the follow-up design of the house. So that first drawing shows the existing piece of property, and the existing house on the property. And then the bigger scale drawing on the right depicts the size of the house versus the coverage of the lot. And initially, the existing house had 15-inch overhangs on both sides. So when I got in touch with the designer, he said the new house would only have 10-inch overhang. So I felt I could use that 10 inches to give a little bit of dimension to the Bartlett Street side, meaning the upstairs floor would stick out 10 inches over the bottom floor. So that's what we started out with. And I'm not sure whether I sent those drawings to Werner, but at some point Werner got back to me and says, hey, you gotta be careful. You gotta meet the code requirements. So I forgot what they were. So I went and found that the codes had a coverage of the lot, a square footage increase, and a volume increase. So the coverage of the lot, we stayed under the existing coverage. The square footage of the addition stayed way under it. It was only like 15% increase. When it got to the volume, what I didn't realize is the existing house had 7-foot 2-inch ceilings. So the new house is 8 foot. So I lost like 20 inches of volume just because the two houses are different heights. So when Paul and I went back to figure out what we could do, we had to take that 10-inch distance off the side. We had to bring the roof back down to the existing roof's 5/12 finish. And to really get underneath the 30%, I had to take 3 inches off the length of the house. So the house is only 39 feet, 9 inches. And that got me just under the 30% volume increase. So that's where we stand. Okay,
And the need for the new house is,
Otherwise your dad can't hear you.
and.
yeah, I can hear her. I
Okay.
can hear her.
And there is a need for the new house to be built, so that the living quarters can be on the main floor, for wheelchair accessibility.
Yeah, we've owned that house for 40 years, and this is the first year I haven't been able to get up to enjoy the beach because I'm in a wheelchair, and that existing house cannot accommodate a wheelchair at all. So what I tried to do is design the house so the first floor would be ADA accessible so I could get into it. And the second floor would be bedrooms and bathrooms for guests that showed up. So that's where we are right now. And I know those sketches are a little crude, but I didn't get back the finished drawings yet from Nate Gino, who was the designer. But they do reflect what the house has to look like. The Bartlett Street wall goes straight up. The two floors are 8-foot ceilings, and the back of the house had to shrink 3 inches to meet the volume requirement. And there's a little storage shed out in the back for beach chairs and a couple of bikes. So that's where we are right now. And I tried to use the existing foundation footprint. I know it's non-conforming, but the other issue I have is on the piece of property, there's a covenant that doesn't allow me to build anything from 50 feet away from the Bartlett property lines. So it really hinders my ability to do anything with the house. So I felt the best thing to do is just keep it on the exact same footprint. And it doesn't change the character of the neighborhood because it's in the same spot. So that's why it's where it is.
So I saw somewhere in here about getting rid of the septic tank.
Yes, getting.
Yeah, but behind the house, there's a big round concrete cover. We think it's the top to a septic tank that was used before they put in the sewer system. And I don't know whether they actually went back in and filled it. So what I'd like to do is when we take out the existing foundation and start excavating for the new one, that I can take that cover off. And if it needs to be backfilled, I've got all of that leach field property, you know, the dirt that can go into that tank and fill it up, and then just put a cover over it again. You know, completely cover it over.
That sounds like an old cesspool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, is there any problems with doing that?
I don't see any.
Seems like a good idea.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, the leach field I want to take out as well,
yes.
and
Yeah,
bring it down to grade. I just have a slight slope towards the street so that the rain will drain towards the storm drain on the other side of the street.
Have you talked to Werner about that, draining onto the street?
Yes, he has.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, and Werner was in agreement that it would be great to take that leach field out, so I think that's one of the things I would do.
okay. So anybody have any questions?
I do. Let me start from the beginning.
Okay.
What's bothering me about the application is that you put it in Richard and Mary's name, but what I see on the deed and what I see on the vision sheet is that it's a trust, it's an irrevocable trust. In fact,
Correct.
it's two irrevocable trusts there, one for you and one for your wife. Or
Yep.
in your wife's name and in your name. Okay, so that's actually the owner of the lot, of the property. And the application should be in that name of the trust, both trusts. And
Oh.
I having trouble telling from the deed, who are the trustees of those trusts? Both of them?
My
Amy,
sister
Amy
and
Noonan, Emily
myself,
Your
Kyrie.
sister and yourself.
correct.
Then it should be your names as trustees for this action.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Can I do that?
Yes, you can change that.
Okay.
You can change that, but I would
Oh.
put in a new application sheet that has everything the same, but put in
In our
the
name.
two names of the trust, the application, and then you as trustees,
Sure.
okay?
Okay,
Yeah. And then I thought I saw something on here that said that the volume in the drawings didn't include the dormer. Is that?
that's
Because,
correct.
but what I see from the land use ordinance is that the volume would include the dormer. It's not
Except for the fact that what I had them do is go with the roof straight on both sides, and that little dormer will just be a decorative thing that's on top of the attic. It doesn't go into the attic. It's just a decorative thing.
Do we count that?
So if you go up into the attic,
No
you
volume.
can't walk into where that dormer is, because there's gonna be a roof there. So it just sits on top of the roof.
Sort of like a cupola.
I only did that to
Yes.
try and give a little bit of definition
But
to
with no
the
volume.
house and make it look a little different.
There's no volume.
Can we call it,
It's like shutters on a house that don't close.
yeah, and no volume?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. I think I'm seeing from the drawings of the proposed two-story house that you've moved some of the walkway, taken it out, and with the ramps and the decks gotten away from the other lot.
Well, it doesn't infringe on the distance between my lot or our lot and Ann Smith's. It stays that same parallel distance away from the property line. And the reason it has that double horizontal spot for the ramp was we had to do that, so we stayed away from it.
Yeah,
So you go down, hit a straight piece, you go down again, hit another straight piece, and then you go down towards where the cars are parked.
okay, well, it looks like it makes it a little less non-conforming, I was gonna say, so that's an improvement on there. Is the stone parking area permeable in the front there, on the south side?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes. okay.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Or the east side, west side, Okay. Those are all the questions I had so far.
All right. Ed?
I'm just curious about the height of the structure. Is there any change to that? And what is it currently?
Okay, what happened was, because the existing house was so short, I lost a lot of volume because the 2 floors were 7 foot 2 inch.
Yeah.
So I lost like 2 floors of 10-inch height. So to meet the volume requirements, I had to take that 10-inch off the Bartlett side. I had to reduce the length of the house by 3 inches, and I reduced the pitch of the new roof to match the pitch of the existing roof, which is 5/12. So
So you maintained
we
the
had to
same
do,
height?
pardon me?
You maintain the same height of the new structure is to the old, but you extended the perimeter somewhat to get the volume.
We just, yeah, the height of the new house is taller than the existing one,
Okay,
because the new floors are 8 foot.
yep.
So
So,
because of that, the volume difference was those 2 10-inch things. So when I got to put those 2 rooms on the back over the top of the shed and the porch, I couldn't get the full 40 feet because it put me over the 30%. So I had to shrink it 3 inches to get underneath that 30%. Paul Gadboy did most of that work for me.
I think the question here is how, are we going to exceed the maximum height in,
No, it's like 5 feet underneath the 30 feet.
so you think it's under 25 now,
25.
and it's going to go to 25 feet, roughly?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It looks like on your drawings that it's 22 feet now, and it's going to go to 29.25.
I don't think it's that tall,
Okay.
but the,
I just calculated.
we reduced
I didn't do that.
we reduced the roof pitch so that I could stay under that 30% volume increase. So with the roof pitch reduced,
It
that
sounds,
number should come down.
sounds like you got it covered. You know, I just wanted to ask the question out loud and,
Yep,
Yeah, I got it 29.5, and that way, yeah.
That's-
but
okay.
The
30 foot
requirement
max.
is 30, right?
yeah, so you're okay with the requirement? And the other question I had was, where's the shoreland zone boundaries here? Does the shoreland zone completely overlay the whole lot, or where are we with respect to the 250 feet from the high water mark?
yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'm in the total shoreland zone. The reason I'm trying to keep the exact same first floor elevation is every additional foot of height, I've got to add another 12 feet of ADA ramp. And I don't know where I can put it.
I don't think
So-
anyone's questioning the height. I think you got it covered, honest.
But the
Okay,
ADA requirements are for public and commercial buildings. For residents, the max or recommended, and it's not a requirement, is half of what it is for a commercial. So you don't have to, your ramps don't have to be built to the commercial requirement unless this is gonna be a commercial building.
no, it isn't. And
So
the
you've got
pitch that I
some-
have on the ramp is 1 inch per foot.
Right, but that's a commercial requirement for ADA.
But it's not a bad,
Hey,
Design
yeah,
guideline either, but
if you're running up against things,
yeah.
you don't have to do that. You can change your pitch a little bit you're not, this is not a regulatory requirement of what you gotta do. So if you're running against coverage or length, you can play with that just like you can play with the landings. Cause, and railing and all that is not a requirement that you're gonna have to meet.
Okay.
There may be some
But-
practical things that you don't wanna, you wanna be able to get up it and you don't want it too steep, but you're not having to go against a specific code requirement to do that.
I'll tell you, when I'm on that 1 inch per foot rise, it does a number on me.
Yeah,
'Cause, I,
You
in the last,
want to go down a half an inch, huh?
yeah, in the last 4 months, I've lost over 40 pounds. So
Yeah.
I've lost a
muscle
lot of
mass.
strength.
Yeah.
So,
The reason I ask about the shoreland zone is I was trying to understand about what portion of the structure is non-conforming. You know, is it that the entire structure is non-conforming and therefore the 30% restriction applies to the entire structure?
I believe so.
So the structure is non-conforming due to the setbacks. That's the major issue. The setbacks aren't shown on the plan here.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's kind of, I feel like the reason why you can't tell exactly the reason why it's non-conforming, because that's not shown on the plan.
It's also a non-conforming lot.
It is also a non-conforming lot. It is under square footage.
I understand that.
Yep.
And again, I may need some help understanding the code here, but my perhaps naive understanding is that the portion of the structure that is not non-conforming, that is the portion that's inside the setbacks, and perhaps not inside the shoreland zone setback as well, would not be constrained by the 30% volume and square foot limitation.
Werner asked me to really read the codes because he said he thought it was going to apply to me because of where we were and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
shoreland issue.
Understood. I'm fine with that, but I just, it didn't jump out at me from here. Maybe it is, and Werner has a good eye, and he's, he lives this day in and day out. You're doing a one-of. He's got that practiced view, so he maybe just steering you straight, and he's saying, look, there's so little of this house, or the whole thing is a non-conforming structure because it overlaps the shoreland zone and the setbacks and all. I can't see that from the drawing. And if that's true, then you can go to 30%. If it were not true, if there were portions of the home.
Which is what we did.
Yeah, no, but if there were portions of the home that were not non-conforming, double negative there, then that might give you a little extra space. Now, having said that, you're trying to live on the same footprint, and you can't go up but another half a foot, so maybe it's a moot point.
Yeah, I think it is
I
too.
think I talked myself out of it. All right, sorry. Thank you.
It's a non-conforming lot, so the whole house comes under
The whole
the
thing is
non-conformance
non-conforming.
ordinance.
Correct.
Okay.
So, I had a couple, so I appreciate this, so, did you provide a location plan with this? I didn't actually see a map showing this lot on, is it?
It's in the, they did the location map
Here.
when they did the abutters
Plan?
thing.
Okay, all right.
Is this it right here?
So, this is in the Goose Rocks area, right, Goose Rock zone?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
So I really would appreciate getting the elevation drawings for this, you're a little more granularity on what you're planning to build, showing whether there's a base flood elevation that applies and a few things about the foundation, we'd like to see we'd like to see the real drawings, I think. So this is a good start, but it'd be great to have a little more information.
Well, Paul he shot everything in the house, including the first floor. And the first floor is at elevation 11 point something, which is 3 feet over the control point out in the street. So that's what I tried to keep the first floor at, so it didn't change. And then the existing house, the new house, would have 8-foot ceilings for the 2 floors, so.
If we could just see all this in elevation drawings, including your base flood elevation, if it applies.
Okay. All right, I'll see if I can get those drawings from Nate.
Larry,
So-
are you asking whether like, for example, the first floor is above the
Yes.
FEMA
Yeah.
flood level?
Yes,
Could-
that's
That would be,
what's
sort of a very practical
Yes.
concern.
That's my,
Dad, did you hear that question?
What was the question again?
let me preface it by saying that we've had a number of people in your area have come in who are motivated by raising up their house. Keep the same
Yep.
footprint, but they just want to keep it out of harm's way because the ocean levels are rising and the new FEMA maps are showing that. I wondered what you've done to address that potential concern in your new plans. Is the first floor going to be higher than it was? And Larry's asked it a more requirements-specific way. Where is your base elevation with respect to the FEMA maps?
Right, yeah, where's your base flood elevation, and then where's your first floor, top of your first floor relative to that?
Are you above the flood
BFE.
zone?
Yeah, and how
No.
far above? You're supposed to be 2 feet
I
above
don't believe we
it.
are.
You're supposed to be 2 feet above, I think the requirement is 2 feet above the BFE.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and
if you could
I
just-
don't believe we're anywhere near that.
Well, if you could just look into that, that's what I'd like to
was-
see, the drawings.
I'm basing this on keeping the same elevation of the first floor of the existing house, because we've been in Goose Rocks for 40 years. And the worst it got was last December, and one of my neighbors said, you had water make it to the stones out in front of the house. So it didn't even reach the foundation. So I'm basing this on, I'm willing to take the risk that the 3 feet to my first floor elevation will be good for quite a while. May not be, but
I think there
that's a
might be
risk
I
I'm
don't think we're
taking.
allowed to take that risk. I think we need to see the
there's something in
data.
the LU, yeah, I think we need to see the actual drawings to see what's going on here. And I think there's something in the land use ordinance about the elevation of the first floor above the base flood elevation.
Oh, man. I was hoping I could stick with the existing first floor elevation.
You might.
Well, you might be able to, I don't know, but,
Just need to see the elevation.
yeah, we'd like to see the elevation and how the BFE figures into this.
Okay. Anything else?
No?
Are all of your windows, it looks like double hung windows with screens?
In the existing house, over the years, we've replaced all the windows with Harvey windows with the lower screen. And the new house will have Harvey windows with the half screen as well.
Okay, because we do look at, in shoreland zoning, we do look especially at bird crashes into windows. And it really helps to have screens on to protect shorebirds.
Well, that's essentially what I've used is this Harvey window design, so.
And then, of course, our other standard request is that you avoid to the, extent possible using artificial fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides.
Oh, well, we have a gentleman that's up at Goose Rocks Beach that does this for us.
Yeah,
It's Goose Rocks Beach Yard Care, and I'm positive he complies with all of the requirements for what he puts down, so
Well,
if he doesn't, shame on him.
The requirements and the use of fertilizer that's excessive in shoreland zones are not quite the same. Landscapers tend to use more so they can charge more. I think you might want to consult with him and see about using a slow-release organic if he uses any, and
He
use
doesn't
it
use any.
sparingly.
Yeah, he doesn't use any. He's just in charge of mowing.
That's
He-
it?
Yes, he doesn't do any of the fertilizing or anything like that. He
Then
just does
fine.
mowing and weed whacking, that's all.
Yeah. As, we're very concerned, especially with Goose Rock's Beach having problems as it does of fertilizer runoff. Rainstorms and through the sewer drains and everything into the seawater, which, causes a lot of problems. So in shoreland zones especially, if you have to use any fertilizer at all, it's best not to use it and just put down something like corn gluten that slowly decomposes. But look at slow release things and definitely avoid the use of pesticides. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
okay, so we'll work the application to reflect Amy and Emily as the trustees that can control this
Right.
permit app.
Put the application in the name of the trust and just
Okay.
indicate who are the trustees. And since they're here presenting, you don't need any other authorization.
Okay.
Do both my sister and I need to be here to present, or just one of us?
I think just one of you. I think we've ascertained that one trustee is enough.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You do get along, right?
She's in Philadelphia, though. It's a harder
far.
commute for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's something we needed, elevation,
Elevations.
Yeah.
so, or is it complete otherwise, and we can,
I think so. Well, we're waiting for final drawings.
Yeah, I think it's a big, I think it's pretty, I think it's a big issue, really. I don't know if it's be complete until we get those elevation drawings, do you? I don't know.
I don't know whether they're gonna be any different than what you got, to just be a little bit cleaner looking. But I'll ask him if he can update them.
Yeah. With actual elevation drawings, architectural drawings,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're interested in.
The height.
Okay.
so the question would be, when could you have those?
I don't know, I'll have to get in touch with them and see where they are. It's taking them a while to get them done, so I'll call him and find out. But hopefully he can get them done before the next meeting.
Okay.
Well, we can, then, what I would suggest we do is hold the meeting, continue the initial hearing
Yeah.
until next time.
Let's do that, yeah.
And hopefully you can provide that information to us,
Okay,
and then we can, in the meantime, also update the information in
Larry, what sheet
the
you
header.
need is-
there,
in the application?
No,
the application.
based on
So, if we get that stuff,
Yeah, but it's
we can have-
FEMA. It's now like 14
we will
feet.
look at it
So
and
what is the
continue the public hearing.
They have to bring the
Continue,
house up.
His house is 11 feet,
continue the initial hearing
and he wants to keep it
until next time,
allowed.
and then,
I'm surprised Werner didn't say anything.
And then if we can
Then
get
if-
that, then we
then
can get a public
then,
hearing.
yeah, then if that's good, we can get the public hearing the following, week, the following meeting.
Meeting, no, be the first meeting of the next
Yeah,
month.
which, ideally, this would be the meeting on the 16th, to
Okay,
the rest of the information on the 16th. And then, assuming everything is good at that point, we'd have a public hearing on the first meeting in September. So, that's,
oh, okay.
Your architect or your engineer that's required to do this,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might just want to coordinate with Warner,
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
ask questions.
Okay,
okay,
Great.
so,
okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
We're gonna-
thank you.
So, I guess we'll just carry
Continue.
it on to next week,
Yeah.
or next meeting,
Okay.
okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay. Now, anybody want to volunteer? Not you. Mike?
No, the-
All right, Mike has volunteered as the case manager for this one. So that brings us to item, find the numbers again. Three. Item 3, yeah, no, I always read the numbers, but anyway.
The findings.
To the final subdivision
Yeah.
application for the
Plans are right over there to sign.
Long and winding road.
long and winding road, and that's,
What?
my
Plans are on
friend
the table to sign.
right over here, Mr. Scott, will read the finding of facts. We approved this last time, so we just need the finding of facts read.
While he's doing that, there are plans on the table to be signed.
Oh,
Okay,
Is it a Mylar?
So I'll take.
yeah, please read. You can
Thank you.
sign after.
Hey, Mike, can you use the pen that's on the table? Just we want them all in the same color, just for the registry. Yeah, it was a close one. Narrowly avoided that.
Okay, read away.
Yep, this is the final subdivision application. Final subdivision application to split Lot 3 of the Frederick W. Trumbull subdivision into two separate lots. In a final application dated June 23rd of 2023, the applicants seek approval for a major revision to an existing subdivision with the intent to split 25-1-3 identified as Lot 3 on the Frederick W. Trumbull subdivision plan. This change would result in one additional lot being added to the existing subdivision for one single-family dwelling unit with attendant access to a private driveway of 1,350 linear feet. Following a preliminary subdivision review on June 7th of this year, a public hearing on June 21st of this year, and a final subdivision review on July 19th, 2023 for the Kennebunkport Planning Board makes the following findings and conclusions and renders the following decision. Finding of facts. Number one, the owners of the property are Sarah E. and Todd H. Smith of 47 The Long and Winding Road, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046, and a representation before the Municipal Planning Board in the town of Kennebunkport and in a letter dated April 8th of this year and November 18th of 2022. Todd Smith and Sarah Smith owners have authorized James Logan of Longview Partners LLC as authorized agent for this matter. Number two of the finding of facts, the property has a street address of 47 The Long and Winding Road, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. Number three, the property is located in the farm and forest zone. Number four, the property is identified as Assessor's Tax Map 25, Block 1, Lot 3 on the Municipal Assessor's Tax Map. Number five, the owners, Sarah E. Smith and Todd H. Smith, have demonstrated a legal interest in the property by providing a copy of the warranty deed recorded in the York County Register of Deeds, Book 19-142, Book 373, dated October 28th, 2022. Number six, the applicant has received a final approval letter from Town of Kennebunkport Fire Chief John Everett that states all specified configuration details of the Y hammerhead turnaround and other conditions required for final approval have been met. Number seven, this change will result in one additional lot being added to the existing subdivision. The proposed lot will have a total area of 4.78 acres, parentheses 1.78 wetland, 3.05 upland, end of parentheses. The remaining area of the lot will have a total area of 12 acres. Number eight, in accordance with the Town of Kennebunkport subdivision regulations, the Planning Board has voted approval of each of the following requested waivers to the Kennebunkport subdivision regulations. There's A through D. Number A, Section 72D.10, High Intensity Soil Survey. Previously approved lot will be divided into two lots. B, Section 72D, Hydrogeologic Assessment. Previously approved lot will be divided into two lots. C, Section 72D.24, Traffic Study. The new proposed lots will support only two residents and an exit onto an established road for the subdivision. And last, D, Section 72D.26, Stormwater Management Plan. Previously approved lot will be divided into two lots. The conclusion reached, the criteria of Title 30A, MRSA, paragraph 4,404, and the standards of the town's subdivision regulations have been met subject to the conditions enumerated below. Decision, in accordance with Article 7, 8, and 9 of the Town of Kennebunkport subdivision regulations, and Title 30-A, MRSA, paragraph 4404. The planning board grants approval of the applicant's final plan application. Conditions of approval: number one, the approval must be recorded with the Registry of Deeds within 90 days of approval, where it becomes null and void unless an extension is granted by the board in writing. This is dated August 2nd, 2023, this date, by the Kennebunkport Planning Board.
So, move that we accept this finding of facts.
I'll second.
Okay.
Approve.
Larry,
Approve.
approved.
Approved.
Ed?
Gonna say
Okay,
this.
it is approved. Or we need to get
Scott, you sound a little like John Wayne.
it
Why
signed.
don't you all start, why don't you all start down there?
You got a John Wayne thing.
Okay, once it's
Do I
signed,
gotta
I
use
can,
a certain color?
Gonna use the
Take one
pen
more
on
motion.
paper.
We have to
Gonna sign what my name is.
Quite an honor.
I'm not gonna date it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Sounds like John Wayne when he reads.
Yeah.
I second that.
Okay,
Thanks for the pen.
Okay.
You got your name in my
Aye.
signature block.
okay.
I did?
We are adjourned.
Yeah, you got loops and
Oh, I do. Yeah,
loops
yeah.
and stuff.
I'm a big guy.